This market is as volatile as you'll ever see.
Traders say this is the craziest day they have ever seen in these markets. Veteran traders saying they've never seen anything like it.
In 2008, the world stood on the edge of collapse. Banks crumbling, jobs disappearing, panic spreading like fire. It was the deepest crisis since the Great Depression. But one man saw it coming, long before anyone else. His name is Ray Dalio. Most people follow markets like a crowd. Dalio, he wanted to know why the crowd was usually wrong. Why do booms turn to busts? Why does confidence suddenly turn to panic? He believed if you could understand the patterns, you could predict the future. By the 1970s, Dalio had launched his own firm, Bridgewater Associates, from his two-bedroom apartment. But success didn't come easy. In 1982, he bet everything on a depression after Mexico defaulted on its debt. He went on TV, confidently predicting collapse. The opposite happened. The market rallied. Dalio lost money, lost clients. He even had to borrow $4,000 from his dad to pay the bills. That humiliation could have ended him, but instead, it transformed him. Dalio realized no one can be certain, not even him. So he built a system, a decision-making machine that would be smarter than any individual. From then on, Bridgewater ran on principles, not ego. Every mistake was dissected, every error became data. Employees were encouraged to argue with him, to challenge his logic. Dalio called it radical transparency, brutal honesty. It was painful, but it worked. By the 1990s, Bridgewater was managing billions. Dalio's obsession with cycles grew. He studied history, centuries of booms and busts. His conclusion? The economy works like a machine. Credit expands, debt builds, eventually the machine speeds up, and when it does, most people are shocked. But Dalio believed, if you've studied enough history, you won't be. In 2008, while the global economy burned, Bridgewater thrived. Dalio's models had warned him. He positioned his fund to profit while banks collapsed. Bridgewater earned billions. As Lehman Brothers fell, while governments scrambled to print money and rescue the system, Dalio's machine kept working. For him, the crisis wasn't chaos. It was another cycle he had already mapped out. Dalio once said, "He who lives by the crystal ball will eat shattered glass." He didn't believe in predictions. He believed in probabilities, in patterns, in cycles. That's what made him different. His obsession wasn't just markets, it was truth. At Bridgewater, employees rated each other in real time, with software tracking every decision. No room for politics, no hiding from failure. The goal wasn't comfort, it was reality. Dalio's philosophy went beyond investing. In his book, Principles, he wrote, "Pain plus reflection equals progress. Every setback is a lesson. Every failure, an opportunity to improve the machine." And it wasn't just words. Dalio lived it. He turned his humiliating 1982 failure into the foundation of a framework that outlasted booms, busts, and financial storms. By the 2010s, Dalio was not only a billionaire, he was a teacher. He released his ideas publicly, how debt cycles work, how nations rise and fall, why ignoring history leads to disaster. His animated video, How the Economic Machine Works, has been viewed by millions. Because Dalio's message wasn't just for traders, it was for anyone trying to understand the forces shaping their lives. By the late 1990s, Bridgewater was no longer a small hedge fund. It had become a global macro powerhouse, betting not on single companies, but on entire economies. Dalio believed the big money wasn't in picking stocks. It was in understanding how interest rates, currencies, and commodities interacted like gears in a machine. One of his boldest plays came in the early 2000s. The US economy was booming after the dot-com bubble burst, but debt was quietly exploding. Central banks were slashing rates to stimulate growth, flooding the system with cheap money. Dalio saw what most ignored. This wasn't stability, it was fuel for the next fire. Bridgewater built a massive position in government bonds, betting that interest rates would fall even further. At the same time, it bought gold and other safe assets, preparing for inflation down the road. It was a paradoxical bet: profit now from falling rates, while also hedging against the storm those policies would eventually unleash. When the Federal Reserve cut rates to historic lows, Bridgewater's bond positions surged in value. While other funds were whiplashed by volatility, Bridgewater earned billions. And when investors panicked about inflation, Dalio's gold positions soared too. This wasn't luck. It was the pure alpha strategy, a portfolio designed to thrive in any environment by holding hundreds of carefully balanced bets across the globe. Dalio's idea was simple but radical. No single view should ever control your fate. Diversify across countries, asset classes, and scenarios, and let the probabilities work in your favor. By the mid-2000s, Bridgewater was delivering double-digit returns year after year, managing tens of billions. Presidents, central banks, and sovereign wealth funds came to Dalio not just for profits, but for insight. Bridgewater wasn't just a hedge fund anymore. It was a global advisor to the most powerful players on Earth. But then came the whispers, the investigations. What if the very pursuit of perfection, designed to eliminate ego, simply became a tool of control, fueled by the very ego it sought to conquer? Investigative journalist Rob Copeland's 2023 book, The Fund, unveiled a darker, more complex side to Bridgewater's radical transparency. What had begun as a genuine commitment to honesty, accountability, and continuous improvement, Copeland argued, could at times ossify into a rigid, unforgiving doctrine. Employees' daily struggles and mistakes were meticulously logged, then dissected in front of peers, leaving little room for privacy or vulnerability.
Bridgewater would not be said to be an easy place to work. Is that fair or not? Because That's fair.
In the changing world order, Dalio warned of a new cycle: the slow decline of American dominance and the rise of China. Debt, wealth gaps, internal conflict. He argued these forces always mark the turning of empires. The past was repeating, just in a different century. For Dalio, the question wasn't if change would come, it was how prepared you would be when it did. Behind it all was one simple idea: don't fight reality. The markets don't care about your feelings. The economy doesn't bend to your hopes. It moves in cycles. If you understand those cycles, you can prepare, adapt, and even thrive while others collapse.